Hello, everybody. Welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Will.
Hello, and I'm his big sister, Kristen.
And I just got an error. Our stream may be buggy. It's weird that they go like, it looks great, and then you hit go live, and they tell you it's not?
Yeah. Okay.
Nice try, YouTube.
Stream is now healthy. Oh, nope.
You're wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, look, the stream was healthy at 6:07. Then there was an error at 6:08 when I hit go live.
Well, damn.
Well, tell us how it looks for you out there. I can't tell if this is true or not.
Yeah.
Brea the Dark Angel, hello. Miss
Hi.
Sweetie, hello. Can
Hi,
you see
guys.
us and hear us? Do we look decent enough? Like
We
we're
heard our
actually really here?
stream might not be healthy.
There's a rumor the stream might be buggy. Katrina, finally able to join a live. Welcome.
Awesome. Hey.
Eric, Andrea, Bobby.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Mom. Michelle. Oh, my gosh. Michelle says
Mom.
looks good.
Okay, good.
Tabitha, hello.
Hey,
Okay.
everybody.
Maybe I assume that this will just continue to sort of
just
cycle
update.
and
Yeah. All right, Katrina says it looks good, too. Hey,
Okay.
Jasmine.
All right, good. Good. Very glad. Welcome,
Phew.
everybody.
Yeah.
Super happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely. And Andrea, I'm not surprised you're ready for this because she gave us some help with this episode.
Yeah, I actually have some questions about. I almost might want to do follow-up depending on how this goes.
Okay.
About Andrea with your knowledge of this particular topic.
Sure.
Because I was researching a certain character associated with this place.
Right.
And I got mixed information. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a definitive idea of, like, hooey.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, let's find out. Eric, that's amazing. Eric said he's reporting from the hospital, and there's a new Ezel in the world.
Oh, congratulations.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Congrats.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, KB. Hey, I'm Haley. Katrina, thank you for asking. My back is much better. I do have a supportive pillow behind me, like one of the old ones, but it is much, much, much better.
Good.
I came toting a pillow.
I saw that. It's very funny.
This is called a book bean. It's sold by bookbow.com. And usually you put it on your lap and you comfortably put your book there, but I also found that it's a good lumbar support.
Yeah, it has other functions.
Sure does.
Can I just confirm, Eric, you're saying that your child was just born and you're tuning into Guide to the Unknown from the hospital? I just want to...
I bet it's not just born. Well, who knows? Who knows, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
That's wild. Man, congratulations.
Get him started early.
Yeah.
Why
true.
not?
Get him hooked.
Yeah, totally. William, do you recognize my shirt? Mom, do you recognize my shirt?
I certainly do recognize that shirt.
Is that a big thing of sweat? No, I don't know what that is.
Ew.
No, it's not. It's not. It was just a shadow. This is our dad's Just Do It shirt from Nike.
Just burn it.
Yeah, what is it?
Just smash it. Just mix it. Just risk it. Just spike it. Move it. Soak it. Climb it. Shout it. Brilliant. And on.
Stuff it.
And on it goes.
Hoof it, jam it, drive it, crank it, wear it. Just do it.
Just wear it.
That's what I'm doing.
Just wear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like such low stakes. Just wear it.
Just wear it.
Hey, are we doing a show and tell?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go with this first one. Now, to what degree are these things that we like received in the mail from people? All of them?
No. I picked that up for free.
Oh, okay.
From a local Buy Nothing group.
Okay. Chris,
Yes.
Yeah, we've got now the Weird New Jersey trivia game. Oh, now I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this will be a future Netherworld Dispatch.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's the Weird New Jersey trivia game. I wonder if there's literally just a card I can quickly grab and give you a piece of trivia or something.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The answer seems to be no.
Okay.
Here.
Thank you, Bray, about my back and Katrina.
Oh, you have to pick
Eric's
what's...
baby was born this morning at 6 a.m. He's in NICU, but doing well, just making sure lungs are doing as well as they can be. That's awesome.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That's wild.
Awesome. Expect to
Wild.
be down later today or tomorrow. And thank you for, the back is my back is the least of your worries or thoughts. That's so exciting, Eric. Glad we can keep you a little company.
Okay. Having no idea how you actually play the game, I'm going to read you something. Tell me if you think it's something real or something made up.
Okay.
Okay. Poet Walt Whitman once sarcastically called New Jersey the most beautiful land between New York and Philly.
I don't know. Yes.
You're wrong. That's
Damn.
not. He didn't say that.
Okay.
A New Jersey
This
man.
isn't encouraging for the game.
A New Jersey man who believes that the electric company is ripping him off has plastered his utility bills all over his house.
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Not quite as monstery as I would have thought.
Maybe that's just an off card.
Maybe.
Well,
yeah.
but no, Weird New Jersey isn't like always that monstery. Sometimes it's just like the waving man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Just quirky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, but we'll revisit that on Patreon.
Yes. So that's one.
Mm-hmm. Don't cover my address and her address. Just rip it open.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll show the back of it because there are
Yeah,
stamps all over it, which are rad. But yeah, this is from Amy.
Yes. This
And
is so awesome. If you guys follow us on social media,
you may have already seen.
right, exactly. She made a painting. I guess it is, or I'm not sure what medium she used, but in our live episode that we posted on the feed a couple of weeks ago, we talk about somebody who lives in our area or who lived in our area a long time ago who is known as a reputed kook. And we said we would love it if we were someday known as like local reputed kooks.
Yeah.
And Amy took a picture of us from the live show, painted it up, and wrote reputed kooks on the bottom of it, which is so awesome. And then she sent it to us. So I haven't seen it in the flesh yet. I brought it to Unveil with Will. And we decided to share it with all of you as well, rather than just cracking into it ourselves.
It is very safely packaged.
Yeah, I could tell.
As all fine art should be.
That's correct. It's a stiff cardboard holding the paper in
It
place.
sure is.
That's how you preserve the integrity of the paper.
It sure is, Raj.
Yep.
All right, the paper seems to be taped to the box containing it.
Okie dokie.
Paper.
Bray says, I wish I had people like you to play games with. LOL. I'll try my boyfriend, but he's out of state. Well, then it really is just kind of like a going in blind guessing game, which we practically were just now anyway. I don't think that living in New Jersey helped me with that Walt Whitman trivia or the thing about the guy who had the electricity bills plastered all over his house. So I feel like you could still get into it if you listen to it when we do it on Patreon. You could throw some guesses in there.
It was more just awareness of the kookiness of the human spirit.
Yes,
Of
exactly.
course somebody plastered his utility bills all over his house.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense to me.
All right.
But from New Jersey, where that weird NJ trivia is about, obviously, to Alabama we'll be taking you tonight.
That's right. All right.
So we're going to be all over this beautiful country of ours.
I believe we are here.
Okay.
Wow. So well.
Oh, nice. You're not that far. So I feel like there's some weird New Jersey overlap a little bit with you, Brea.
There it is.
Okay. Oh, it's so cool. I love it.
How rad is that?
Yeah, I love it.
So this will certainly be getting framed
Yeah.
and given a place of honor.
Mm-hmm.
This is wonderful. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you so much, Amy. That rules. Yeah, we got to get our walls going.
I know, we do. It says, to Will and Chrissy, who
Oh.
always spark joy, from the Zollers family, who appreciates you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
Laying flat.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Oh, that note is so
We
nice.
spark joy.
Yeah.
Spark
that's
joy.
sweet.
Let's
That
spark
sparks.
some fears.
Yeah, that's right.
Spark
let's-
scares.
Let's strike fear. All right, Katrina, you too. So you guys are all weird New Jersey adjacent.
There you go.
Weird New Jersey is a state of mind, anyway.
Yeah.
But hello, East Coasters. Okay.
Is New Jersey a state of mind?
I don't know.
One of the 50 states
You know,
of
I
mind?
just get to talking.
Yeah, I know. All right, everybody.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape. Please consider sharing this, by the way. Mm-hmm. If there are other people out there that you think might enjoy this show, or
Yeah, that'd be great. We're talking about a place called Sloss Furnace, which was visited by the show Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, maybe other shows as well. So we're going to be talking about the spooky kind of real story behind it, and then how Sloss Furnaces took that and made a haunted house out of it and some stuff about that. So if you know people who you think would be interested in those topics, share this link with them, have them come watch. And if they can't watch live, they can always catch it on youtube.com/talkbomb on Friday or in any podcast app. So let people know.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right.
Let's go for it.
Cool. Hello. Welcome to Guides to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And today we are going to be talking about Sloss Furnaces of Birmingham, Alabama, a place supposedly haunted in real life, but that has also made a haunted attraction out of those stories.
What a gift to be haunted.
Yeah.
There are so many options, so many doors open for you.
Yes.
If there's a ghost roaming the halls.
That's true. Although, I mean, maybe it's easy for us to say what a gift to be haunted. Maybe real haunted people are like, this is the worst. I'm terrified all the time.
The only thing I could possibly do is create a haunted attraction around
Right.
it.
It'll make me feel better.
Yeah, it's the best I can do. I guess, if you are being tormented by a ghost,
Right.
how great to torment the ghost back by selling tickets to see it.
That's true. That is one way to, get at them.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Get your revenge.
Yeah. So before we launch into it, I want to mention that this episode is linked to an episode of our other podcast, Ghost Adventures, where we talk about the very episode where they visit Sloss Furnaces, and that is available for you right now. So just type in Ghost Adventures to any podcast app, and you can listen to us recap Zach Bagans and crew exploring the very place we're about to talk about.
Which was fun because we, on Ghost Adventures, we're literally watching each episode of the Travel Channel paranormal investigation show, Ghost Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
So we only saw of Sloss Furnaces what host Zach Bagans and his crew got footage of.
Right, but a sliver.
Yeah, we only got information from them for that episode that we already recorded. Having now looked into other aspects of Sloss Furnaces, it sort of reframes how I feel about the Bagans investigation in a way. But so it's fun to sort of dig now into the quote unquote real story of Sloss outside of the confines of Ghost Adventures.
Right.
So yeah, this is a double feature. This is a lot like when Angel split off from Buffy. But
It's exactly like that.
Occasionally there would be one Thursday night where the events on Buffy dovetailed into the next episode of Angel.
I love crossovers.
I love a crossover.
Yeah.
So this is
I didn't even think about it that way. I'm very glad that we get to engage in a crossover.
Yeah, with ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely check out Ghost Adventures. Subscribe to that show so that you can hear Kristen and me talk about ghosts and stuff over there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really pumped to talk about Sloss Furnaces here.
I am too. I also want to mention, if you want more of us, go to gttupod.com, where you can find links to our merch store and get our logo on pretty much anything you want. You can also find a link to our Patreon page, or you can go to patreon.com/gttupod. And this would be a good time to do it because if you're listening to it in real time, we have our monthly live stream planning session coming up this Sunday, August 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's where, with our Patreon community, we go live, we talk to them as we're doing this, and Will and I plan out all our shows for the following month with input from the community. So you get to get a jump on what's going to be coming, you get to give us suggestions, and get to hang out and chat to us in real time.
Yeah.
There are also monthly podcast episodes that only come out over on Patreon. There are weekly posts, bonus episodes that are video, all kinds of extra content is over there. So if you donate $4 or more per month, which we really super appreciate, you get that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Patreon.com/GTTU pod.
That's right.
It's all for you.
It's all for you.
Pay lots and lots of attention to the man and woman behind the curtain.
Yes. Yes.
We need it.
Clap for us.
Yeah.
Clap for us. It keeps us alive.
Please clap.
Please. All right. So I'm going to kick things off because I'm going to kind of piggyback on our Ghost Adventures episode. I'm going to tell you the story of me researching this chronologically. Basically, we did Ghost Adventures. I find out information from listener Andrea. I look into that information. I have a question. I go elsewhere. That's how this is going to roll.
Okay, you're sort of pinballing all over the place.
Yes,
okay.
I'm taking you through. You're going to follow my journey. This is about me.
Congratulations.
Yeah, okay. Not really. Anyway, so on Ghost Adventures, we do a summary at the beginning of the show to just kind of give a very broad idea of what the episode is about. So I thought I would start us off with that. I'm going to read you my written summary from Ghost Adventures Adventures so you can have a feel for what Sloss Furnaces is.
Maybe if you sync up this episode of Guide to the Unknown with that episode of Ghost Adventures Adventures, you'll have a very Dark Side of the Moon Wizard of Oz experience.
Yeah, where it's just my voice doubled.
And it will layer on top of each other with this synopsis.
Yes, perfectly. Okay, here it goes. Sloss Furnaces was built in the late 1800s in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a sad history of accidental deaths. Men were incinerated in the furnace during work accidents, and there were tons of other accidents there, like people essentially being boiled by steam and being caught up and ground up in giant wheel mechanisms. The Ghost Adventures team speaks to a worker who theorizes that the souls of the people killed there are unsettled because their deaths were so sudden, and Zach concurs. However, not all the deaths were accidental. It said there was a foreman named Slag who was super mean and got pushed into the furnace. The furnace is no longer in operation, but it's used for events, and people have seen figures, have been slapped in the face by unseen forces, and one of the people who was slapped had a handprint that, rather than feeling hot, felt cold to the touch. A particular hotspot at the furnace is an underground tunnel where the figure of a man has been seen. An employee who's so into the furnaces that she has a tattoo of them on her back tells Zach that when you come into the tunnel, you'll often see people at the end. If you have the nards to walk toward them, once you get about halfway through, you'll hear the sounds of people behind you. And then we go into talking about their investigation. So that's a broad overview. This is a place that was in operation back in the day. Tons of people died there in terrible accidents, and it's been haunted since. Now, one of our listeners, Andrea, has actually been to Sloss Furnaces and investigated it herself multiple times.
Oh, wow.
So Andrea is part of Patreon. She was part of our last monthly planning live stream, so she knew that this episode was coming up. And in anticipation of that, she sent us an email about her experience. So now I'm going to read that. So Andrea said, the main thing I wanted to bring up is that James Slag Wormwood, who is that mean guy who worked there and was killed and is supposed to haunt it. Andrea says, according to the curator, is a completely made-up character for the Sloss Fright Furnace, a.k.a. the haunted house each October. There's no documentation of anyone with that name ever working there. There's so much out there about him now that he seems like a fact, but at 17 years old in 1993, I skipped school one day just to go there and then to the Birmingham Library to research the history. One of the real/main ghosts is Theophilius Calvin Jowers.
Wow.
They have a plaque there acknowledging him, and also his son confirmed that he saw him there himself. So it seems like one ghost was kind of substituted for another.
That's
and
interesting.
I looked into Theophilius a little bit myself. We'll find out. My, meaning Andrea's, personal experiences there are really feelings based. Like when you both say you would have, to experience it yourselves, meaning like you and I would need to feel the vibe of somewhere to really feel like we believe something's going on.
Yeah, nobody can tell me that it's true. Mm-hmm. I will always find a way to discount it unless I genuinely have that experience myself.
Right, and you can't discount your own feelings.
Right.
So that's what Andrew's referring to. We've talked about that on the show before. Okay, so her feelings are experience-based, and she says, there's no doubt to her that it is haunted, but I only have my proof. I'm not scared of haunted places because I want to see something. The night I spent there with the ghost hunters, so she went and actually investigated this place with the team Taps from the show Ghost Hunters.
Oh, wow. That's cited on their website.
Okay, yeah. We're going to have more with them as well. I use them for part of my research.
All right.
The night I spent there with Ghost Hunters was great, and we had full access to the whole place. The two main things that happened that night, to me personally, is that there were all these fresh oil drops on the floor right next to this very large container. I lifted the lid and saw the oil was very low in it, so I initially just thought that someone had been messing around with it. The lid was one of those that is also the handle to something else, in this case a long metal rod of some sort. I went to pull it out all the way, but you couldn't. It had a lock or something on it, so you could only pull it up so much. So how did the drops of oil get everywhere right next to it? So it seems like it was low. There's no way for it to migrate up with human means. The other thing, and this is completely personal, is that we were doing a final walkthrough of all the places there because it was about 2 a.m. at this point and things were wrapping up. So we went back into the boiler room. That was the room with all the oil droppings. We had already been there at least 5 times. However, when I went to go down the stairs into the room, my feet planted. It felt absolutely wrong. Not only would I not go back in there, I made my friends that went in ahead of me come back. I can't describe it except that I just knew we did not need to go in there. So that's my experience with Sloss. The only thing I will add is you need to watch the Ghost Hunters episode, which as a bonus features Meatloaf.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh.
So,
The person, not the food?
the person.
Wow.
So again,
Even better.
my journey, I read this, I'm reeling.
Yeah.
I'm betrayed, bewildered. Slag is not a guy.
Right.
There's an episode of a ghost show out there with Meatloaf that I haven't watched. I got to find out what's going on here. I have to figure it out.
Thank you very much for sending that in, Andrea. I really love... I completely understand that feeling. It's a very almost like... it evokes that nightmare feeling of trying to run away from a monster and being incapable of it. Or, it feels like you're running through quicksand. Your legs just won't move fast enough.
Yeah.
The idea of being on the stairs and being incapable of moving forward, being completely paralyzed with fear, to me it sounds like instinct.
Yeah.
To me it sounds like animal brain. I don't even know if I can consciously explain to you why I am as cautious as I am right now or so put off, but why question it?
Right.
Something
There's no reason.
is wrong. We're not going in there.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's scary.
Right. And that's credible to me.
Yeah.
That feeling is something that you can't explain and you just have to go with because why not? It's not life and death. You don't have to go down those stairs. But
Right.
it's really good that you honored that feeling. That's a feeling that's useful in a lot of places in life. And it's a good muscle to keep flexed and rely on. That's an awesome story.
You listened to yourself.
You listened to yourself. You felt your feelings. You validated them. And you acted on them.
Very good.
Yes, I think that's
Wonderful
good.
story.
And it's also just very cool. That is really weird about that oil tanker thing. Like fresh oil next to it. How did it get there? It sounds like that was a cool investigation. And also this place is humongous. So I'm not surprised that it started in the evening and then went until like 2 a.m. because it's like a sprawling place to investigate. And at least on the episode of Ghost Hunters where they did it, they had run of the entire property. So I don't know if that's the situation when Andrea went and investigated with them, but like that's a lot of ground to cover. And a lot of potential scaries.
Ghost. Apologies. I host a show about a ghost show, and I still don't know this. Ghost Hunters and TAPS are the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. The TAPS team does Ghost Hunters.
Yes.
Just like if you listen to Ghost Adventures, the Ghost Plumps, that's Kristen and myself,
Right.
are on a show that hasn't been made yet called
Right.
Ghost Losers.
It's exactly that.
Okay, understood.
See? You've got it.
Listen to Ghost Adventures to get that full joke.
Oh, God. So I heard this. She said I should watch the Ghost Hunters episode, and I agreed. I felt like I better watch this thing and see what's going on.
Yeah.
So I found it, I put it on, and here is the deal. They went and investigated Sloss Furnace 2 years after Ghost Adventures did.
Oh.
Ghost Adventures went there in 2008. The Ghost Hunters went there on the show in 2010. And indeed, Meatloaf, Martin Aday, former resident of our town growing up, was there.
His name is
Marvin Aday. I said Martin.
Marvin Aday?
Yes.
Meatloaf Aday?
Yes. A meatloaf a day keeps the
the-
Marvin away.
I think it keeps the doctor like
Close.
very nearby.
On call.
You should not be eating meatloaf every day.
It keeps the doctor away from his family because
true.
he's too busy tending to you.
It's too much meatloaf.
It's a lot of meatloaf. I love meatloaf. But do you remember he lived next door to friends of ours growing up, and his mailbox was red and had a day scribbled on it like a little kid did it.
I just remember that Meatloaf lived in
Yeah.
our town growing up.
Yes.
And being like, I'm 7. Who's Meatloaf?
See, I was like, I'm 7. I have a vague awareness that this is a famous person. I'm all over meatloaf.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Mr. Belvedere lives in our town.
Now Michael Ian Black
Yes.
does.
I think he moved.
He did?
I think so.
Oh, Michael.
Come on. Okay, anyway, so Meatloaf went with them to Sloss Furnaces. And I was curious what the deal was, so I ended up just Googling Ghost Hunters Meatloaf to see why this happened. And apparently he was a big fan of Ghost Hunters, and he previously went on the show a year earlier to investigate another place, and so they just brought him back. I watched an episode of The Haunting Of, hosted by Kim Russo, that was featuring Meatloaf from 2015. I just watched this like on my own like a while ago, about the studio that he recorded, I think, Bat Out of Hell in. He said he had a lot of paranormal experiences in there. It was actually a house that had a recording studio like in the attic or something. And I found him very intense on that. And I thought he seemed troubled.
What?
He was a lot more lighthearted on this. It was a heavy episode of The Haunting Of.
He was haunted.
He was haunted, all right.
What, do you want him to be light and breezy?
He was like yelling at ghosts and seeming very affected.
He yelled at them?
Oh, yeah.
What did he yell?
I don't know. I seriously watched it like a couple of years ago.
Oh.
But it made an impression on me. I was like, wow, Meatloaf is a lot.
Ghosties in the mirror. Maybe closer than they appear.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that a big Meatloaf song?
Yes. Yeah.
Also, he was in the Tenacious D movie. It's about all I got about him. And Fight Club.
And Rocky Horror.
Ghost Club.
Ghost Club. He also, when I was looking this up, I saw somebody say like,
Ghost Loaf.
ooh, Ghost Loaf. Somebody commented that Meatloaf came of like age and popularity in a time where you could release a rock album that's called a rock album, but it's really all show tunes. And I thought about it for 2 seconds. I was like, I think that's correct. Like every Meatloaf song I can think of is really more like a show tune.
They're very ballady.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, enough about Meatloaf. Sorry, guys. Meatloaf is in this episode of Ghost Hunters. He seems much more okay than in the episode of The Haunting that I watched with him. He's really just kind of investigating, and he's enthusiastic about it. But here is the deal. Here's what they say about the Sloss Furnaces on Ghost Hunters as opposed to what I saw in Ghost Adventures. So they point out in this that it's not in conflict with what was on Ghost Adventures, but it's just kind of a further point that the furnaces were operational before there were workplace safety standards. So that could be a big reason that people were dying left and right. There weren't really standardized rules in place. So people were boiled alive and incinerated by furnaces. And they also mention James Slag Wormwood in the Ghost Hunters episode. So they weren't really hip yet to what Andrea was telling us about his dubious realness. So the Ghost Hunters speak to somebody named Ron Bates, who's the museum assistant, and he tells them that people see figures peeking out a lot. This is a theme that I noticed. He didn't phrase it that way, but he says that a worker saw someone peeking out at them from behind a pillar and then went back and they weren't there. He said he himself saw someone come out from behind a piece of machinery and shade their eyes looking around and then step back and disappear. Oh. So these people are always looking and everything. And I was thinking, did they pop out here from another dimension? Are they coming out and being like, what is all this? I need to get a grip of my surroundings. So maybe they're like hiding against a pillar and looking and be like, okay, let me get the lay of the land here. What's going to be okay? What's not? And then, disappear, why ever ghosts disappear.
Something actually of that tracks with something that I found later on.
The peeking?
Which is weird. Not necessarily the peeking, but the unexpectedness and the implication that you just brought up. That maybe the ghosts themselves are overwhelmed and scared.
Yeah.
And perhaps in need of some help.
Interesting. They also hear a story about an apparition seen walking around with a shovel and a pick. So obviously implying somebody who was a worker there. They also include an officer in the kind of testimonials about the hauntings who says that the police department there has received a lot of calls about sounds happening at the furnaces that are worrisome, but then they've never found anyone there. So they go down into these tunnels. They also did this in Ghost Adventures. There are tunnels below the furnaces where people say that they have heard voices down at the end. Now, in Ghost Adventures, they tell kind of a story, but it's almost like something that's known to happen there. They say that you'll hear voices down at the end of the tunnel, and if you walk toward them, once you're about halfway down, you start to hear voices behind you. They didn't say anything about that in Ghost Hunters. They just commented on hearing the voices down there.
Right.
They also said that voices have been heard by this giant wheel, which they talked about in Ghost Adventures, that causes suction once it's turning. And at least one person has gotten caught up in that wheel and died. And the voices they've heard have said, no, go, stop. And so maybe these ghosts want to prevent the same thing from happening, the same thing that happened to them from happening to somebody else.
Yeah, we got sucked into this machinery.
Right. And
Go.
so, yeah, stay away from this.
Right, it's dangerous.
Right. So then on the show, the evidence that they catch is that they hear things being moved, and Jason and Grant, who are the lead investigators, both thought the other one did something to them that they didn't. So Grant thought that Jason touched him on the shoulder, kind of like, like guiding him somewhere, and Jason didn't. And Jason thought he said Grant say, hey, look, to him. Like, just be like, oh, look at this. And nothing had happened. Meet Amy and Adam, the other parts of the team, who now have their own show called Kindred Spirits, saw a shadow figure down in the tunnels who was blocking out one of those like laser light grids. They said that they saw like a shadow figure of a man, those things that you can project with the hopes that maybe the pinpoints of light that this thing is projecting are going to move in some way that show you that there's an apparition there. They say they see a shadow figure and then it's blocking out that light, but unfortunately didn't pick up on camera.
Oh, no.
So besides that, pretty standard investigation-y sort of stuff. Noises.
How'd you feel it compared to Ghost Adventures?
It was okay. It wasn't as, like... I like Ghost Hunters. It's obviously a lot less bombastic.
It's less theatrical?
It's a lot less theatrical.
Yeah.
I like it. It's kind of apples and oranges.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. I have to admit, because I was focusing on the story part of Sloss Furnaces, I kind of clicked my way through their investigation part because I didn't want to go into it too much in here because that's not really what we were doing in this episode. We just kind of want to talk about the story of Sloss.
Right.
So I didn't watch it all the way through. But I've watched a whole bunch of Ghost Adventures, and a whole bunch of Ghost Hunters, and I enjoy it.
But from what you could tell, there was no scene where one of the ghost investigators screamed at a ghost, I'm going to fire you.
Not from what I could tell.
Then it's so different from Ghost
Right.
Adventures, where Zach Bagans tries to fire a ghost.
Correct. Again, apples and oranges. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the story of who this Theophilius Jowers is.
Yeah.
The person who it seems like is verified to have been haunting Sloss Furnaces, as opposed to Slag. I think you're going to tell me a little bit more about that, but who, may not really be a thing besides just in the haunted house. So this is interesting. This guy, Theophilius, worked at a place called Alice Furnace in Birmingham, not Sloss Furnaces off the bat. He lost his balance while trying to fix a bell around the edge of a furnace, and he fell into a vat of molten iron.
Oh my God. So this is true.
Horrible. Yes, that was in the local paper.
Okay.
That's horrible. So not long after that happened, workers at that furnace, not Sloss, started saying that Jowers was making the rounds, still checking on his crew. They noticed a male figure that wasn't identifiable, so they couldn't say for sure it was Jowers, but because he had just died, you could make the leap. Seen walking around in areas that were way too hot for anyone to be in, which I think is kind of awesome.
Yeah,
like
I like
no,
that.
that can't be a human. Like people will be incinerated just from steam walking through there, but they're seeing a figure walking through there.
That's cool.
And people would feel sudden jolts of cold, which was probably welcome
Yep.
working in those furnaces. So something interesting about this, like I said, he wasn't at Sloss Furnaces. He didn't work there. With the idea that ghosts might not always be tied to a location, but something that they feel kind of attached to. The furnace that he worked at, Alice Furnaces, was shut down, and then he was seen at a second furnace, not at the same location, until that was shut down too. Then people started seeing him at Sloss, which is like across town, and that seems to be like where he resides. So obviously you could think people know the story of this man who worked at a furnace, and somehow it traveled from it's like an urban legend.
Yeah. It happened here. No,
Right.
it happened here.
Exactly. But if you're thinking about it from a little bit more of a believer standpoint, maybe it was not that he was so attached to the Alice Furnace location, but the vocation of working with furnaces and things like that and wanting to protect fellow workers from experiencing what he experienced and dying that way. And so he has kind of made it his ghostly mission to sort of try to keep some peace at these different furnaces, all in the same city.
That's interesting. I like the way that you phrase that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't, or at least, maybe it's just not common ghost lore these days, because it certainly does evoke ghost stories I know I've heard before. The idea of a ghost trying to protect you. Mm-hmm. The ghost
Right.
was actually benevolent.
Yeah.
That certainly has happened before. I can't particularly think of an instance right this second.
Yeah, same. It's not uncommon. And that is something they talked about in Ghost Hunters, the episode of the show. They were saying that it seems like the ghosts might be trying to protect people from bad things happening to them, just like I was saying before.
I like that.
I do too. So it made me think though, like, is this really what ghosts want to do forever? Like, did this guy not have a family that he wanted to kind of spend time with and just like, I don't know, haunt or hang around? And then it made me think, well, ghosts are obviously supernatural, paranormal, above, outside of the normal. Maybe they just operate outside of time and space. They can do whatever. Maybe they can almost be in both places at once, like Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, true.
And they're just having a completely experience of afterlife
Sure, why not?
than we are. So, Will, that brings us to the end of my segment. And in just a moment, we'll talk about yours.
Yeah, I want to ask you real quick, just to confirm, because I found myself getting a little lost on one detail. Mm-hmm. So this person...
Theophilius Jowers?
Theophilius Jowers, yes.
Philius? I'm sure he went by that, not Theo.
Not Theo?
No, Philius.
Philius.
Yeah.
Maybe just Phil.
Phil or Yus.
Hi, I'm Yus.
Yeah.
He fell to his death
Right.
in a big tub of molten lead.
Yes.
Okay. At which plant?
Alice Furnaces.
At Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I started thinking about the jumping from location to location. I wasn't sure
Right.
exactly where it happened.
Yeah, Alice Furnaces, then that closed down. He was seen at another location, that closed down, and now he's been seen recurringly at Sloss Furnaces.
Okay, because I'm trying to make sure I have my bearings going into my hat, because it certainly does. Some of the stories that they share at Sloss Furnaces evoke parts of that story, and I had not heard that story before.
Right.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the character of Slag, which I think is based on Theophilius, and a lot about Sloss Furnaces as a haunted attraction
Yeah,
in just a second.
that's right.
Because first, this episode of Guide to the Unknown is brought to you by another outstanding podcast out there called Scare You to Sleep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scare You to Sleep is chock full of binaural sound effects that won't jerk you awake, but will creep you to sleep.
That's right.
This is a podcast that you listen to when you're trying to snug down and lay your sweet, weary head on your pillow.
That's right.
There are only quality stories from published authors as well as up-and-coming authors. No creepypastas, which is a fantastic selling point because
Yeah.
as
It's
a
like
lover,
quality control.
Yeah, it's quality. I love creepypastas.
I do too.
to be sure, but
and
there
I think
are
Shelby
also-
does too, the host.
Okay, yeah. How can you not?
Right.
But there are certainly a bunch of creepypastas that are like, so you're walking down a hallway and you see yourself, and it's all like second person. You're like,
So if you're trying to sleep, you're like there with your eyes closed, and then you hear that and just like open an eye, like what the hell am I listening to?
that should be like the next thing of like, scare you awake. It's a story that's written so clumsily that you're like, wait, I'm doing that?
What is happening? Oh God! All right, I'm just gonna get up. I just can't.
What are you telling me that I did? I'm puzzled. I can't help but admit I'm puzzled. Good morning.
Exactly. But so in addition to those stories, Shelby also has experimental episodes such as the guided nightmare episodes, where Shelby uses meditation exercises to make sure you're as immersed in the story as possible. So you're basically like living in your own horror story while you're trying to go to sleep. And that might be your thing. You can also send in your own horror stories to be considered for the show, which is very, very cool.
Super cool.
So I found this show myself because I generally don't have a hard time going to sleep, but I have recently kind of. And I was cruising sleep podcasts on Apple Podcasts or whatever, and I found it and I was like, oh, excuse me. So it's kind of perfect because you can listen to it and it kind of turns off the noise in my head. I won't speak for everybody, but you can like close your eyes and there's like a hamster wheel of thoughts going on. If you're listening to something that I'm losing the metaphor, the hamster wheel calms down. You're not thinking those anxious thoughts. You're just listening to the story.
Relax, hamster.
Right. Really, really, Shelby is scaring the hamster to sleep, so it stops going.
Right.
So then I can get some rest,
Yeah.
basically. But anyway, what I'm saying is, you kind of distract yourself out of that sleep anxiety and eventually fall asleep. And it's really nice that it's something scary, because if you're like us, you're interested in that kind of thing. And so you're not just bored and like, oh, this sucks, I'm trying to go to sleep. You're somewhat stimulated, but relaxed enough that you can drift off. I think it's an awesome show.
The entity known as Kristen Anderson is actually a facade, and there are rodents
Yes.
inside, working machinery.
Right.
She's almost a steampunk creation,
Right.
but it's mostly just hamsters and wheels and balls and stuff in there.
Correct. If you unzip me, I actually have a little top hat hiding underneath my hair and skull. If we're talking about steampunk,
Wow.
with a cog on it instead
Wow.
of a bow or a rose.
Is a skunk a rodent? Is steam skunk a thing?
Oh my God.
To be continued. Anyway, how can you hear the phrase guided nightmare
Right.
and not immediately want to pounce
Right, and not
check
jump.
out how to experience it yourself? Go subscribe to Scare You to Sleep right this second. If you like Guide to the Unknown, you're going to love Scare You to Sleep. As a poor sleeper myself, I will definitely be trying to ease my transition into the land of Nod.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also go to scareyoutosleep.com and find the show on social media everywhere at Scare You to Sleep. Thank you very much, Shelby. I think you're awesome, and I'm happy for our listeners to know about you.
Who doesn't want to do a great promo swap with us? We're so succinct and direct and understandable.
If nothing else, we're sincere. Perhaps not succinct, but sincere.
I guess that's true.
Well,
Well, there you go. So let's talk a little bit about Sloss Furnace, record scratch, Fright Furnace.
whoa.
Which is what they're known as when they do their haunted attractions.
Yeah.
So Sloss Furnaces, it's got to be a seasonal thing. I looked on their website and they say that they will be opening again in September 2020.
I mean, that makes total sense.
It makes total sense. I don't know if they actually will this year because of COVID and all
Right.
that stuff. But they are a very, very active haunted attraction. And my impression from reading through their website, which is frightfurnace.com, is that they offer a number of things which I'm not familiar with being sort of staples of typical haunted attractions.
Okay.
There is a tour, a furnace tour, which is supposedly going to, bring you face to face with ghosts and stuff. They have performers in there that may be dressed up as workers or zombies that can jump out and scare you, like very classic haunted house style. Actually, on the website, they're very proud of having a $300,000 budget.
Oh, wow.
And quote unquote Hollywood special effects.
Okay.
Hollywood level special effects, Hollywood,
Yeah.
But there are a few other things that I thought were kind of interesting and maybe even a little confusing. Roadkill Cafe.
Okay.
You can get food there, and they're like, you can get hot dogs, hamburgers, hell, even pretzel. Some phrasing like that. But it's not only that. Here's some phrasing about how they describe their Roadkill Cafe. Watch the freaks while you're waiting.
Ew.
I know. I thought the freaks.
Yeah.
It turns out they have a freak show there. I thought that.
Okay.
I know. I did the same thing as you.
Yeah.
Because without the context of there's a freak show here,
Right.
it sounds like do some people watching of the freaks that come to our establishment,
Right.
which is absolutely
nice.
how I took it. We're all a freak to someone else.
Of course.
Yeah, you're the freak.
You're a freak. I definitely am a freak. I'm full of cogs.
Cogs, rats,
Yeah.
steam skunk.
Right.
Have your palm read. Watch a vampish vixen swallow fire. Experience an illusionist who plays with your head, or check out classic horror movies projected onto a 25-foot screen.
That I'm into. I don't like watching entertainment while I eat. I think it's weird. Like, have you ever been at a restaurant and somebody's like walking around, like singing, or there's like a belly dancer or something? Or at a wedding, I don't know, like a DJ walking around, you're like, like trying to eat. You want to acknowledge them, but you like also want to eat your penne alla vodka.
How dare you say this to me? Don't you remember?
Oh
that
my God.
I played Frasier in a murder mystery dinner theater
Of course I remember.
troupe.
Of course I remember.
Me, Will Rogers, I played Frasier Crane,
Right.
and no one knew who I was.
Yeah, it's weird not to just be watching them. I feel rude anytime I like go down to eat. but
I felt
wanna
rude
eat.
when they forced me to walk up to people who were eating their food and
Yes.
be like, "Hey, hello, where's Niles?"
I know.
Like, All I want to do is leave these people alone.
I know.
Can you pay me and I leave them alone?
I am anti live entertainment and food mashed together.
It was rough.
At least not in close proximity. I mean, if it's big enough that they can't see you or make eye contact, but I don't want to be chomping down on a hot dog and accidentally make eye contact with a flame eater.
I think
It's weird.
I think exactly once I stepped out to interact with people while they were eating food, because most of the time I would just hide in our teeny tiny little backstage
Yeah.
area, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait for my next
That's
cue.
appropriate.
And the one time that I went out, because they were like, you're supposed to go out and mingle. I was like, I went out and I was like, "Are you enjoying your time?" I sound like Will Ferrell. I sound like
you do.
Anchorman.
You sound like Robert
Knox.
Goulet, which is also Anchorman.
Wait, it's been so many years. Eddie, get off the chair. Try to see if I can. Is Fraser Crane with us right now? I walked up to somebody and I was like, "Are you enjoying your time?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's great." And I went, "Well, we do make the ordinary extraordinary." And then I just felt my heart break.
Oh my God.
I felt my own heart break because I said that. And then I just kind of was like, enjoy your chicken.
I also know where
Slinked away.
you got that quote. I have a favorite OkCupid profile that I've shared with you many times over the years that contains that phrase, and I think it lodged itself in your head.
Maybe. I mean, it is just a phrase.
I don't know. How often do people say that? And make the ordinary extraordinary?
Exactly once.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so you can watch Freaks at the Roadkill Cafe at Fright Furnace.
Okay.
But you might be there getting your hot dog on, getting your palm read while you're waiting to get into another attraction. Like the tour where you start out in a replica of Wormwood House where Slag Wormwood lived as a child.
Okay.
This is a recreation.
God.
Yeah.
Oh God. It's not like him being abused as a child and it turned him into an abusive man, is it?
It doesn't seem good. I don't think it's happy.
Yeah.
I don't have the storyline for what.
That's weird.
Yeah. So the
what
idea,
else could it be?
I know. The idea here is that Slag, the ghost that we've been talking about, was originally known as James Wormwood. So he is James Slag Wormwood. So part of the tour is you start off in Wormwood House, where he lived as a child. Or you may have gotten tickets to Outbreak 2, Escape the Zombies, or Become One.
Okay.
I don't know anything else about that.
It's probably just standard, but it's in a cool environment because it's in a giant furnace place.
Yeah, I think so. But the point is they put on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
They have a lot of activities there. They also have a section on their website where they describe the urban legend.
Okay.
Let's start with part 1, The Rise of Slag.
I saw this. I started doing that. I was like, wait a second, this is Will territory.
Rise of Slag.
Rise of Taj.
So the story goes that
Rise of Slosh.
Slosh. It's so stupid. Van Wilder 4.
Rise of Slosh.
Rise of Slosh. So the story goes that James Slag Wormwood was made foreman of the graveyard shift at Sloss Furnaces. This is in the early 1900s. He was in charge of about 150 workers. He'd force his workers, who were typically poor, desperate, a lot of them had just immigrated to the country. They needed the work. They would do whatever it took. Many of them would live near the furnace so that at a moment's notice, they could be called into work to earn some money. He'd force the workers into dangerous situations to push them to work harder and faster because Slag's one and only concern was impressing his bosses.
Yeah.
And who cares what happens to all of these people? The fallout of that modus operandi was 47 deaths, a death rate 10 times higher than any other shift. Also, there was an explosion at one point which blinded 6 workers.
Oh my God.
Due to burns. Here's a quote from the website saying, "There were no breaks, there were no holidays, there was only the furnace and its constant hunger for more and more coal."
Ooh.
Leading us to part 2, The Fall of Slag. 1906, October. The official story is that he fell. James Slag Wormwood fell from the top of Big Alice, the highest blast furnace in all of Sloss.
I find Sloss hard to say.
Sloss.
Sloss.
His body landed and melted. It landed in a vat of molten lead, and that's why it melted. It didn't just land and melt.
Okay.
I kind of made it sound like it landed on the ground and then just
it
melted.
started to melt.
It just melted. What happened to him?
Yeah.
Well,
Turned out he was made of sugar.
Yeah, he melted.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to work here.
Mm-hmm.
So he fell into a giant vat of lead. Sounds just like
Yes.
Jowers.
Yes.
Your friend.
Yeah, Theophilius Jowers.
Theophilius Jowers. And he melted in there. Many supposed that Slag had probably just lost his balance
Sure.
up there at the top of Big Alice. Maybe the fumes made him dizzy.
I feel like you've got a Keith Morrison thing going right now.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that Slag never went up to the top of Big Alice. Rumor has it that the workers had enough. They were sick of old Slag pushing them around. So finally they took justice into their own hands and shoved Slag to his doom. Made him take the 400-foot high dive. But instead of a pool, it was goo. Hot goo. Ever since Sloss shut down the graveyard shift, there were just too many strange incidents that had occurred. Here's where the hauntings begin in earnest. So there are a number of different hauntings that are cited all over the place, by the way. I did some research into the how true this Slag story was. I had known from you that Andrea had said Slag isn't real.
Right.
And I figured I would come across the statement somewhere in my research of like, the Slag story isn't true. However, I found source after source after source, tons of sites referring to the Slag story in almost the exact same way.
Right.
Without referencing it as being false. So here are the agreed upon hauntings. In 1926, a night watchman is pushed from behind, and he hears a voice tell him to get back to work. No one is there. 1947, 3 supervisors turn up missing. Later, they're found locked in a boiler room.
Ugh.
It said they couldn't explain what happened to them. It's also said that they told everyone they were approached by a badly burned man who shouted at them to push some steel. I don't understand if that means that they ran away themselves and locked themselves.
Because they were scared.
Right?
Yeah, right. True.
I can't really tell.
Unclear.
I do think it's funny to say we have no idea what happened to them.
When how we got here.
Except they told us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
1971, Samuel Blumenthal, Sloss night watchman, comes face to face with, quote, a half-man, half-demon who tried to
that's
push...
the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, he tried to push him up the stairs.
Okay.
As Blumenthal resisted, the demon just started pummeling him. Later, a doctor would note that Mr. Blumenthal's body was covered in burns.
Weird.
It's like you get
That's
hit.
a good story.
You get hit by this ghost, and
Yeah.
every time it makes contact, that's a big burn.
Right.
It's kind of scary. It's
Yeah,
kinda,
that's
kinda
cool.
All of the hauntings seem to happen around September and October at night.
The spookiest.
Approximately when Fright Furnace is open.
Oh. Like during the reign of Fright Furnace? Like, is it operational during the time
I
that...
have to assume that's part of the story to be like,
Yeah.
if you come, you might see
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
something spooky. Right?
Yes.
There have been so many ghost investigations there. You've already mentioned some, obviously, ghost adventures. But the website for Fright Furnace also lists this. It's pretty early on. 1988, a study conducted by the Center for Paranormal Events in St. Petersburg, Florida. They say this: while no events out of the ordinary occurred during the study, which occurred in May, many of the team members, including 2 psychics, claimed that due to the violent disregard for and loss of life, Sloss Furnaces should be considered a location rife with restless souls.
Oh, okay.
I want to read this
I wish
again.
that was an official, like, seal that you give a place.
I know.
Like somewhere is, deemed like a historical location. This is deemed whatever place with restless souls.
Yeah, you just stamp that
Yeah.
on. But I want to just read this one part again. While no events out of the ordinary occurred, ... They'll eventually say, Sloss Furnaces should be considered a location rife with restless souls.
I got kind of hung up on the phrasing of that part, and I forgot about the first part.
Right?
That does seem peculiar.
While no events outside of the only ordinary events occurred,
But
it's full of
this
restless
place is
souls.
chock full of restless souls.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So that's what Fright Furnace says. What do people say about Fright Furnace or the experience of going to the haunted attractions at Sloss Furnaces? Well, it's got a 3.7 out of 5 on Google.
Okay.
One of the top tags when you go through the reviews is waste.
Waste?
Waste of money.
Oh.
A lot of people say that.
Okay.
I've heard,
Tough.
just from reading the reviews, I get the impression that maybe the attraction was once great and maybe isn't quite as much. Many reviews on Google and on TripAdvisor say that Sloss Furnace no longer has a theme. It's just kind of like, oh, there are zombies.
Okay. Yeah, it's not themed around the history of the place.
Yeah, I don't really know what they are trying to tell me.
Yeah.
There are also a lot of people, because I also looked at Sloss Furnaces and was like, hey, if I was in Alabama right now and I wanted to buy tickets, what does it look like for me?
Yeah.
And honestly, it seemed like a pretty affordable, approximately like $20 to $30.
Okay.
Maybe a little more.
Yeah.
If you want to get the fast pass that puts you at the front of the line. Maybe if a little more if you want to get the extreme pass,
Ooh.
where no holds barred, they're allowed to touch you, they can push you, all of that like extreme haunted house stuff.
Right.
Now, I point that out to say that typically you would not be buying a ticket that allows them to touch you.
Okay.
However, I've read reviews where people are like, they spit on me.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. A lot of people being like, hey, this person touched me. And I said, I pushed them back to get them away from me and said, you're not supposed to touch me. And then the worker goes, well, you're not supposed to touch me. Like, what?
What? What the hell's going on?
What are you talking about? What is going on?
Oh, that's not good.
So honestly, like a real mixed bag. Some people love it. Some
Yeah.
people have been going for years, and to them it's tradition.
Right.
But I'm really seeing a lot rising to the top
Huh.
of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on. One person was like, they didn't even have hot chocolate included. 1 star.
Well, I assume that means it used to be included.
I guess so. I'm not sure. But I also found this, which made me really excited. FrightFurnace.com has a section about paranormal encounters
Oh, cool.
at Fright Furnace. And these are self-reported, sent-in stories from
Yeah.
people who have attended Fright Furnace with their own paranormal experiences. Honestly, go to FrightFurnace.com, check this place out. Honestly, if I lived in Alabama, I would go. I wouldn't want to be touched.
You would go to the haunted house?
I'm feeling very nostalgic right now for, I'm feeling very cooped in.
Uh-huh.
It comes in waves, right? Right at this moment.
Right.
I was even saying this to Allie earlier today. Like, I just feel very boxed in.
Yeah.
I had a feeling just the other day where I was like, I wish Guide to the Unknown could go to a fair. I don't want to go to a haunted house where people are going to push me and scream at me.
Right.
But even Sloss Furnaces sounded pretty good to me right
You
now.
like a traditional haunted house?
No.
Okay,
No,
I
no,
didn't
no.
think so.
I would do it for the show, and it would get me
Oh, I
into a
wouldn't.
different environment.
Sorry, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I truly hate them.
Maybe I would do some reporting. I would be our
I would read online what the experience was like we did previously. We did an episode about haunted houses.
maybe I would be our crack correspondent
Sure, and then I could talk to you about it
in the
afterward.
field. There we go. So here are some of the self-reported stories of hauntings from people that attended Fright Furnace.
Excellent.
Apparition of a bride in her bridal gown. My husband, niece, and myself went to Fright Night in 2008. As we first started going through the front door, we came around into a huge, auditorium. And this foggy-looking bride in her gown came by us and brushed us on our sleeves. The bride just kept staring at my husband. It was just really creepy. After she passed by us, she just disappeared into thin air. I'm finally getting back to go this year, and I can't wait. I'm hoping I'll get to see Slag and the bride, too. I know the story about Slag, but I heard there's a story about the bride as well.
Ooh.
That is from Billy Teague, a.k.a. Bug.
Oh, excellent.
But after all of this that we've heard about, Sloss Furnaces and
Nothing
stuff...
about a bride.
A bride?
I know. But again, ghosts, no space and time. Maybe the bride likes the furnaces, or maybe the bride resided
Yeah.
wherever was there before the furnace was even built.
Yeah, sure. I got married here, and then they
Right.
made it a furnace later on.
Right.
I don't know. All right, here's the next one from Tina, titled Pee My Pants.
Okay.
My first time ever to go in Sloss Furnace was an experience that I will never forget. My stepson and I were both surprised at what had happened. We came to the clown section, and I hate clowns so bad, but when I looked up over the wall, I see a little boy looking back at me. It freaked me out. He was just hanging there looking down. Well, after it was over, we made it out to the parking lot, and my stepson was talking about a little boy he had seen in the same spot, and it really freaked us out. We still keep coming back, though. I like the idea
Maybe
that
they
you
keep coming back because it freaks them out.
Yeah, probably. We gotta chase that thrill again.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of people going to like an attraction and having an off
Yeah.
the page experience. you
Right.
know?
It's scary, not in the way that they expected.
And then here's the last one I'm going to share with you, but it takes on whole new context for me. I didn't know the story that you had told me until you said it on the show just now. But I had already copied down this submitted ghost story from JGUH245 on frightfurnace.com, titled, Me Think It Was Richard Jowers, frowny face.
And it's a frowny face made with a bracket, not a parentheses.
Yeah,
which
just
is
a
it's a
sad-
unique choice.
Not an emoji, a little emoticon, equal sign, bracket,
Yep.
frown. Me think it was Richard Jowers.
Not me thinks.
Okay. Well, me and my BFF got a bunch of our friends to come with us last Friday to Sloss. None of them really watched the videos and stuff about it, but I did. Well, when we were going through the catwalk in complete darkness, I swear I saw a man sitting on the floor. Then in the tunnel, he was sitting again. And he said, "Help me! My name is Richard Jowers. Help me!" But my friend pushed me on. I don't know if it was just me or what, but I know I saw something. His clothes were really old, bloody, and torn. He looked like he was the one that had been thrown in the iron and burned to death. But that's just me.
Well, that's just me talking.
Me think it was Richard Jowers.
Well, I can see why you would think that if they yelled, "I'm Richard Jowers, help me."
Yeah. Hi, I'm Richard Jowers.
And I need help.
But so this is one of those things that got me thinking. So you
Yeah.
told the story about Theophilius Jowers.
Yes.
What's his name?
Theophilius.
Theophilius Jowers, who was thrown to his death. I had not heard that story. When I read this experience,
Yeah.
I totally interpreted it as more what you were talking about earlier on about the idea of maybe there are just workers here. Mm-hmm. Maybe there are workers who are peeking out and
Yeah.
looking concerned and like disappearing back in. I almost interpreted this one as, you know, these people went to Sloss Furnaces, they went to Fright Furnace, and they happened across a ghost who is confused.
Yeah, who didn't know where they were.
Who is worried, who sees somebody and is just calling out for help, and maybe they've been lost for so long
Right.
that the only thing that they can even think to say, like if I was lost somewhere and I was just like, my name is Will Rogers.
Yeah.
Maybe there are people
Find
who
me!
Find me! Maybe there are people who have been looking for me.
Right.
You know, maybe you'll remember my name and tell people and they'll be like, oh my God, that's where Will is?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
My name is Richard Jowers. Can you help me?
Right.
Maybe this is also misremembered by this person.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's made up, right?
Right.
Obviously, of course.
What's Slag's first name in real? Well, you know, is
James.
It's James. Okay. I was thinking maybe it was a mashup.
Slag Wormwood.
Yeah.
Wormwood.
Yeah, that's a good name. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. So to wrap it back up with Slag,
Right.
put a big bow on the rest of this. Mm-hmm. I still didn't know, and so I can use this more now to cite why it's cumbersome to find this information at all. Thankfully, we had Andrea, who was able to
Right.
say to us that somebody from Sloss Furnaces confirmed to her directly the Slag story is not true.
Mm-hmm.
I just went about on a little excursion to figure out how true is this?
Yeah.
Is Slag the abusive foreman? Is he real? Was he an actual human being? I found 3 different sites that refer to the story in somewhat different ways, or just from different times that I thought were kind of interesting. One of them is way back in 2005, so it predates Ghost Adventures, talking about Slag, where they tell almost exactly the same story as I told you. They tell the story of Slag. That's paranormalstories.blogspot.com. The next is TuscaloosaNews.com, which is ostensibly a news site, right?
Yeah.
They suggest that Slag was only incorporated into the Fright Furnaces storyline starting in 2007 at about their 10th anniversary of being open as Fright Furnaces.
Right.
Prior to that, there was nothing.
Right. That's basically what Andrew was saying. It's just a story for the Fright Furnaces, but then people grabbed onto it.
Which is great, because how nice to have a hook and a mascot
Right.
and something for people to go there expecting to see. You're going to come here, you're going to see Slag.
Right.
Right. And then the last one here is from Steelmaster USA.
Okay.
I think that this is literally like an industrial
Yeah.
site, but they talk about Sloss Furnaces, and they do. It's not the focal point of the article, but they do touch a little bit on the folklore surrounding it. They're the first site that I found that acknowledged that Slag may not be real at all, saying there's dispute about his existence. They also say that in 2017, the tour of the Wormwood Childhood Home was added to Fright Furnaces, which makes me think that Fright Furnaces is probably just periodically continuing to expand that character.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So Slag
Why not?
We now know Slag is not real.
Right.
He is probably inspired by
Theophilius Jowers.
Right, who did fall to his death.
Yes. No sign of him being mean or anything. So I think they just kind of took that on to make him more of a threatening ghost.
Which makes a lot of sense
Yes.
if you're trying to have a spooky Halloween
Totally.
haunted attraction. How frustrated you if you're the ghost of Theophilius Jowers
Yeah.
being like,
I'm the ghost.
I actually fell and died.
Yeah.
Why are you you all need to shut up.
Right.
Right? Then, and I'll just say this, because again, this episode is a tie-in with our new spin-off podcast, Ghost Adventures.
Yes.
Zach Bagans and crew went to these Sloss Furnaces, and most of it is Zach Bagans himself in the basement talking to Slag.
It's very Slag based.
So he's talking. You could always argue that when you're talking to a ghost, you're talking to no one, you're making it up.
Yes.
But now knowing that Slag is a fictional character, he was especially talking to no one.
Right. But perhaps a ghost saw their in, and they're like, all right, I'll play his Slag.
Maybe.
You know?
We also know that one of the credible pieces of evidence from that episode was an EVP of a voice saying, I hate Zach.
Yes.
Maybe they were frustrated with him talking to somebody who's not real.
Right. We're like, we're over this. That's not even a real dude.
I hate Zach.
I hate Zach.
So there you go. That
Yeah.
is the frightful attraction made out of Sloss Furnaces.
That's right. And that is the end of this episode of Guide to the Unknown. I hope we gave you a nice, complete overview of Sloss Furnaces, but there's always more to learn. So give it a goog if you're so inclined. Also, make sure you hit our show notes and you can take a look at the links we use for this show and go a little bit further with it. And thank you again so much to Andrea for submitting some information that really helped this episode along.
Yeah.
And she was able to do that because she's part of our Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/GTTUpod, you, just like Andrea last month, can join in and watch our monthly live stream of our planning sessions. And maybe you'll influence another episode of Guide to the Unknown.
Yeah.
It's a very cool thing. I really like the symbiosis we have with our listeners.
It's nice. It's
Yes.
nice to get to be organized, to plan ahead, to know what's coming down the pike.
Yeah.
I think it's probably kind of fun for people that enjoy this show to get that sneak peek and know what to expect, and also be able to chat back to us and be like, well, here are some topics that I think you might have fun looking into.
Right. And I say get to, it's not such an honor, but they get to see our spreadsheet and how we organize things and ideas that we have. And it's just a really cool kind of intimate time.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's very fun. So we'll be doing another one this Sunday. So please join us for that. Again, that's patreon.com/GTTUpod. You'll get that and about a million other things if you join the Netherworld Warrior level starting at $4 a month.
That's right. We really, really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah. You can keep up to date with Guide to the Unknown, Ghost Adventures, and whatever else we may be doing on the way by following @GTTUpod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also join the Guide to the Unknown Secret Society on Facebook to chat back with us and other people who watch and listen to this show by going to facebook.com/groups/GTTUpod. Again, tpublic.com/user/GTTUpod will bring you to the Guide to the Unknown merch. Get a mask.
Yeah.
Get a shirt. We've seen a
Absolutely.
lot of pictures from people that enjoy the show
Yeah.
wearing their Guide to the Unknown shirts, and it's wild.
I was just thinking I need to do kind of like a roundup post of all those pictures because it's really, really cool. And we're hearing that they are extremely comfortable. Almost
Yeah.
everybody remarks about that.
Yeah.
So very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
We would also really appreciate it if you shared the show with a friend, if you shared it with one of the Facebook groups that you're in. It's really, really great to tell people about the show and then have them join us and have this whole crew of really awesome people who are kind of bonding over spooky stuff.
Totally.
We would also really appreciate it. It makes a big difference. I know every podcast says it, but it's true. If you left us a 5-star review wherever you listen to the show, but particularly on Apple Podcasts, we would really appreciate that review.
Yeah, we just hit a milestone this past week. We just crossed 400 reviews on Apple
Yeah,
Podcasts.
thank you guys so much.
Which is ridiculous. And here's a new review from a name I can't pronounce, Ugtugov called New Binge. I just found you guys, and I am so happy. I have listened to 38 episodes so far. I'm hooked. I love your back and forth, brother-sister vibe. Keep up the excellent work, heart, heart. Thank you very, very much for that nice review. Please, if you all out there consider leaving a review, you might hear us read it on the show in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, I see another review there that was from somebody who said they found the show on Scare You to Sleep when Shelby did a promo for us. So definitely go check out Scare You to Sleep. Enjoy that. Get some nice Z's with it.
Yeah.
And tell Shelby that Guides the Unknown sent you.
Without a doubt. All right, everybody. If you want to keep up to date with Kristen and myself, you can also follow us online.
That's right. I'm at Chillin' Kristen everywhere.
And I'm at The Myth Traveler. Links to everything that we've been talking about, previous episodes, future stuff, can all be found at the home of Guide to the Unknown, GTTUpod.com. And you know what? I think it's time for us to get out of here. So we will be back next week for more spooky stories to share with all of you. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we.
Good night.
Badoom.
Sleep tight. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, guys.
Andrea already wrote about the I Hate Zach
Yeah.
EVP. She was like, who the hell is Zach talking to?
Yeah, right. I hate him.
Yeah. My name is Kevin. Stop yelling at Slag. I hate you, Zach.
Thanks, Michelle. I thought it was good, too. I like that.
Yeah,
that was
that was very fun.
Yeah.
Wild.
Excellent. Hey, Lacey.
Hey. Yo, spooky, everybody.
Yeah.
Very fun.
All right, dudes.
Yeah.
I need to go do my back exercises.
I know. You all right? I can see you sort of shifting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta do some stuff.
All right, we got to get Kristen out of here. We'll see you on Sunday if you all come to check us out.
Yeah.
Have a great spooky night, everybody. That
Yeah,
was super
absolutely. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you soon.
fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, we're off. Cool. You okay?
Yeah, I'm